everything starts as an idea. Most people stay in that dream phase of building a business as there's no risk, no vulnerability, and it requires no work. And then there's 1% to 2% of you who either have or will take that vision and be determined enough to make it into a reality. What stops people isn't money, isn't time, isn't their lack of how-to. It's fear and the lack of belief that what they desire isn't possible for them. It took me 10 years to start ProjectME with Tiffany Carter, the podcast and business coaching brand. And it wasn't because I didn't know how. It wasn't because I didn't have the money or the energy or the time. It was because I wasn't 100% sure that I could have what I wanted. And I was afraid that if I went for it and I found out I couldn't have it, then my dream was gone. Then what? Then where do I look forward to the future? Then what's my purpose here? So it felt safer to stay in that indecision, to stay in that I'm confused, to stay in that I need to have more, be more, do more in order to get this. Stay in that safe learning phase where you buy more and more courses and get certifications to learn how to do something, because learning and being a student is far less vulnerable than actually doing the damn thing and putting it out there. When we don't 100% believe it's possible, then why would we be 100% driven to take the required actions? So what finally changed with me? I decided it was possible for me. If it was possible for others, then why not me? And I had to get to a point where I was so sick and tired of being sick and tired of yearning, of wanting, of wishing, of visioning, of dreaming, of manifesting for something. And really knowing when I took my inventory that I was taking half measures, I was toe dipping on my dreams. I had to get to that point where I said enough's enough already. And I decided it was going to be different. And once we decide, therefore it is. My guest interview today came to me as a coaching client with nothing more than a passion for golf, an idea, and the willingness to learn how to build it. And that she did. Tori Totlis is now one of the top micro influencers in the women's golf world, and she hosts retreats and tournaments all over the world under her brand, Compete Confidence Golf. I want you to hear the behind the scenes of what it looks like to start from zero, to start with an idea, to start with a vision. And then what happens when you decide to go all in on your dream. If you're tired of hearing the same old basic mindset and motivational fluff talk, you've come to the right show. Welcome to ProjectME with Tiffany Carter, the podcast, where we dish on everything from managing that crazy brain of yours to manifesting abundance to my straightforward, actionable steps that will make you major money online. Now, I'm not your typical multimillionaire entrepreneur. It takes a small village to keep my anxiety and depression in check. I'm inherently disorganized with an intense obsession with office supplies. Your girl here is a digital marketing content expert who's generated over $200 million in sales. I promise by tuning in twice a week, you will get a much needed refreshing dose of truth, clarity, and cash-making advice. Now let's get to it. And before we dive into this riveting episode, we have an important word from our sponsors. There's a spring mega bonus sale for the Posse business coaching membership. If you're spending hours creating content and getting very few buyers, you have a hole in your marketing that can't be fixed by figuring it out or posting more or doing more. You need these 4 things to get your content making cash around the clock. You need to learn my famous emotional-based sales techniques, what to post to have people be eager and excited to buy from you now, the 3 types of videos that will grow your audience and make major cash, and how to use your content to weed out people who are filled with excuses and get those people who are like, hell yes, I'm in it. I want to learn. I want to buy. I want to sign up. I want to join. I want to do all the things. This is exactly what I teach you inside my ProjectME Posse business coaching membership. And right now we have a spring mega bonus sale which is very cool because this is the only way that you can get my content creation made easy course bundle. So this is where you get a behind the scenes training. I'll walk you through my exact content planning and posting process. You get my exclusive content planner with worksheets to help you plan out your content with ease. And you get my fill in the blank template. So you don't have to guess how to properly create an Instagram post, a Facebook post, how to write that caption. Think like Mad Libs, but for your captions. So it actually feels fun and easy, whether it's you doing it, a VA, or someone on your team. The Posse is only $3.33 a day. It's month to month. You can cancel at any time. Yes, if you join for a year, you do save money, and either option is there for you. All you have to do is swipe up. The link is right there in the show notes, or you go to projectmewithtiffany.com/ProjectMe Posse, projectmewithtiffany.com/ProjectMe Posse. And again, this is Spring Mega Bonus Sale, so it is only available for a very limited time. Join now, get your content generating cash without losing your mind. And thank you for listening to this message from your sponsor.
What up, my people, my posse, my fellow crazies? This is the show that is going to help you grow your business, your bank account, your broke ass mindset, and everything else in your life. I'm your host, Tiffany Carter, and today's episode is really going to get you thinking of other things that you could potentially monetize in your life and have fun while doing it, and really make that clear distinction on, I'm going to not monetize this thing, because not everything has to be monetized. And me saying that says a lot. And there's a catch to monetizing stuff that you love. And I want you to hear all sides of it so that you can make that best decision on where you go forward, whether it's next in your business, whether you're just starting, wherever you're at. And there really isn't a better person I could think of than to have on than my coaching client, my friend, Tori, who has created an exceptional brand that is so fun out of your passion. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Tiffany. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I mean, I have been listening to the podcast for years, so it's fun to be on the other side of it.
Well, we'll see how you feel at the end. You might be like, this is terrifying. This is terrifying. Let's go back to the beginning. And I was there for the beginning, which is so freaking cool and why I love doing what I do. What was like going on in your brain when you started having the idea of making a business out of your love of golf? Because you could have just left it as your passion, as your hobby, as your sport. So what was going on in there?
So years ago, I lost a big tournament that meant a lot to me. So it was my local club championship at the club that I belonged to, and I lost terribly. It was one like I couldn't sleep at night. It was devastating to me. I was supposed to win, in my mind. It
was kind of like a shoe-in. Like you're like, I would have to shit the bed, basically, not win.
And I did shit the bed many times on many holes to make that loss happen.
That's fun.
So, I know. So after like regrouping after that tournament, I went to my swing instructor at the time and I said, okay, something needs to change because I'm pretty stagnant right now. My handicap index was not changing that much. I wasn't going to the next level. And I said, can you please give me a plan? I just need a plan of what to do out when I go practice. And he proceeded to write on a scrap piece of paper 2 separate plans, so that practice plans that I could use out on the range, out on the practice facilities, so that I could follow them. And he made 2 of them so that I wasn't doing the same one every day. And then I proceeded to follow those plans and everything changed. My game went to the next level. I became a better golfer for it. And so I started looking, I said, and at the time I was doing a lot of exercise accountability groups. And I thought, well, why don't I do this for golf practice? Why don't I make plans and make a program out of golf practice to help ladies go out onto the range and actually have a plan? Because us, we love to like have our notebooks We like to have our plan. We like to like go there with a specific idea of what's going to happen. And we like to check off the box and leave and feel accomplished for the day. So I thought, I want to make a program for practicing golf and taking your golf to the next level, no matter what level you are, whether you're just starting or you're a 20 index and you want to get down to a single digit, or you're a single digit and want to get down to scratch. This could help all levels. And so I had this big idea in my head, and I knew I couldn't do it on my own. I didn't even know where to start. I had no idea. And I was a part of like a business community Facebook group. I don't even remember which one. And I put it out there. I said, I need a coach to help me build an idea into a business. And Tracy O'Malley chimed in and gave the referral to you. And it was bizarre that I knew Tracy to begin with anyways. I met her a couple months beforehand. Like everything kind of happened the way it was, but it ended. It was introduced to you at that point, and that was the start of it.
Did you ever have a thought like, okay, do I really want to make this into a business? Or do I just want to keep this as like my fun passion that I do? Or were you just dead set on making it a business?
I was dead set on doing this fun project that I had in my mind. I didn't know what it could turn into. I knew that just like me, there would be women out there that would want it. But again, I thought of it more as, I hate this expression, but a side hustle, and that it would be something that I could build. And I love building things. So I could build it and I could share it with my audience, and it would sell, and it would be a couple extra bucks on the side. I didn't really think of how big it could become. And so there was never the hesitation of building a business around my hobby at that point.
Why didn't you, and I know this, obviously I know you, so I know your like whole mental makeup, but why didn't you just say, okay, I'm going to like figure out how to do this on my own and how to turn this idea into a business on my own?
Because I knew realistically that I didn't know how. I knew I needed direction, and I knew I didn't want to waste time. I didn't want to waste time just kind of testing things out. I know what I'm good at, and I know that I will finish a project, but I needed direction on what to do. I don't want to read all the books. I don't want to listen to all the podcasts for months and months and months and eventually learn it all. I wanted to skip ahead. I wanted to have someone that already did it tell me exactly what to do, just so that I wasn't wasting time.
Usually people who say that to me, and I said, I've spent a lot of money in order to get my time back, meaning saving time, you end up getting time back. It's your only asset that we can't buy it back.
Yeah.
Right. But in a sense, you can by like getting help with things or having other people do work for you and things like that. Usually people who value time are people who have also wasted a lot of time or have had some other experience in their life where they're very aware of how precious time is. Where do you think this like priority for time came from your life?
Gosh, that's a great question. I all my family members are entrepreneurs, they're small business owners, and I've seen them all grow their businesses from the ground up, and it's taken a long time. And I've worked for all of them. So I've seen the behind the scenes of each one of my mother, my father, my sister, my husband, all what's going on there. And so I feel like I had all that knowledge, but I'm the kind of type where it's for this situation, I just knew I needed to dive in and just start doing it. Or because if I kept thinking about it, it would just still be a thought, And again, I didn't know anything. I didn't know how to hire a videographer. I didn't know how these videos should look. I don't know how to set up a sales page. I knew nothing. And it just seemed to me, it seemed very obvious to hire someone to tell me what to do, because I know I'll do it. but I need to be told what to do.
You're very coachable. Most people I work with who are like athletes or are really into a sport, you guys are so coachable. It's like, but you have to tell people like you what to do, but you'll go do it. And you got that result from your swing coach, which is what helped give you the idea. And it's because you invested in having someone help you. And therefore that gave you the idea for you to pay that forward for someone else. Exactly. So now let's flash forward for the people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She started at 0, not even knowing like, what's a sales page? What are we calling this thing? I'm talking scratch. Now what's going on?
So it is built. It is forming as we speak. So, I mean, it's been about 4 years now, and I have 3 separate practice programs. I do women's golf retreats that are between 12 and 20 women. I do women's golf tournaments that are 200 plus women that I host. I have a podcast with tens of thousands of downloads. I've found my niche. I found where I work best in this golf industry. And it's, I don't really know what a year from now looks like. I love to plan. I love to organize. I love to do all that. So I try and do my best. But if you had told me a year ago where I was today, I wouldn't believe you. I just keep showing up. You just have to show up every day and kind of see what's ahead of you. But yeah, it's definitely forming, on its own a little bit too.
It's really unbelievable, because it's like, if someone had told me 10 years ago, God, I wish someone did. That's probably why I say it all the time. Like Tiffany or Tori, in 2 years, you could have this. In 4 years of showing up, and not like killing yourself, but like truly showing up, you can have this. That's not a very long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wasted 10 years in my head and should I do this? Can this make money? Is this going to work? How am I going to do this? Whereas your makeup right away, you went to, I want to do this. I want to experiment with this. I want to try it. And I'm going to hire someone. My mentality, now my mentality is different, but my mentality was what a majority of people are, where it's like, well, I guess I'll take this course and I'll listen to this and maybe I'll figure it out. And you cut all that out. Why do you think you're like that? Like, what has made you like that? Is it because you were raised by entrepreneurs and you saw that?
Possibly. And also, I just want to touch on the fact that because I think we did coaching for almost a year solid. And you taught me all the framework of launching a business or launching a product. All those assets that I've learned with you from one-on-one coaching, I just put in place for every other product that I put out there, whether it's a retreat, a tournament, a practice program. I'm now going to launch a membership site. It's the same framework that I've learned from you from the first program that we worked on together. And again, I did not know anything, but yes, I'm a very organized person that needs certain steps, but I also enjoy watching something build out and watching it from start to finish and see where it goes, for sure.
So people have perspective. You also have other responsibilities in life.
Yes.
It's not like you're sitting here where your whole focus can be 10 hours a day on building this thing. You have other things going on, and you do play a lot of golf yourself.
Yeah.
How many hours would you say roughly on an average week do you spend on this, on your business?
That's a tough question, because like I enjoy what I do. So when I have a little bit of time, I come into the office and do some work. But I'd say between 30 to 40 hours. Yeah. And also I find it I'm a content creator,
Right. So you're
media.
including the content creation in there.
Exactly. Like it's important to me to be on the golf course, to be playing, to be surrounded by the women that I'm talking to and that I'm trying to help and engage them in my content too. So while I am golfing, like I feel a certain obligation to be on the golf course. And that's how my hobby has now become my job. And there's cons to that too, because sometimes I don't really want to go play golf and I really don't want to go out on the course and I don't really want to go practice, but I got to show up. I got to do it. I got to be out there. I got to be listening to the women. I got to see what's going on out there. I got to see what they're struggling with. I got to share my journey as much as theirs because I'm still trying to becoming a better golfer is still very important to me. Taking my game to the next level, putting myself in those uncomfortable positions is very important to me still.
What do you do so you don't lose out on the joy of golf, which is what started all this? Like, do you take breaks from the business side? Do you do something mindset wise so that you can still truly be immersed in the actual game?
Yeah.
Of it.
I gotta be honest, it's tough. It's very tough. And probably the thing that I struggle with the most now is finding separation between the business and just going out there and enjoying myself. I do still find a lot of joy out of competing, but just going out and playing golf, no, I struggle. I struggle with, is that fun for me anymore? As much fun as it used to be. That's my current struggle.
Would you trade that? Like if we went back in time, would you have not created this? Would you just have kept it, which was totally fine, but would you have kept it as a hobby?
No, I don't think so. Because I also think that my personal golf journey is just in a different spot than it was. What I find fun now is just different than what I found fun 5 years ago. And that's just my personal journey, in golf. And I think that a lot of women go through that when they first get into the sport. What they find fun is just going out and playing golf or just going out to play 9 holes or going to the one-day guest days, going to the invitationals. I mean, it is so much fun.
You guys look like you're having so much fun. I was like, maybe fuck tennis. Maybe I could go all in on the golf.
It's a natural progression. We take all tennis players in. They just
is it really a natural progression? You guys, that's hysterical. I didn't know that.
It's tennis players go to golf and then golfers dip into pickleball and it's in a cycle.
That is so funny because tennis is not as fun as golf. It's just not.
We have a great time out there. And it's interesting now. I'll get off the course and I'll say to myself wow, I had a lot of fun today. So I still have that feeling in me a lot of times, but it is more times than not where I'm like, okay, I got to get out on the course today. I have to do content. And I think it's probably more of the pressure of putting new content out there, to be honest.
Yeah, I call it content fatigue, and any content creator gets it.
Mm-hmm.
And you do have to manage it, and you do have to be okay with taking some moments of reprieve, even if it's a weekend or something.
Yeah,
where you're like, you know what, I'm burned out of the content. I need to step away. Yeah. Or go do something totally different to get re-inspired. So is there anything that you do when you have content fatigue that helps re-inspire you, re-energize you, get that creative brain going?
Well, I am going into a long weekend this weekend. And I said to myself, okay, we're going to put away the work. We're going to just veg out. We're going to reload the energy. And usually that helps. Creating content comes in waves, and I've learned to accept that. There are days and weeks that I can create content forever. I'm on a roll, and then there's weeks where it's I can't do it, and I've just come to accept that, and I've come to accept the patience of having those weeks that you get so much content done to save it, and not upload it all in 1 week,
Yeah, you got a content hoard because for those times where you're like, my brain just is like not working, or I don't feel like it, or because then if you start posting stuff where you don't really feel like it or it's forced, it never does well.
Never. It never does well.
But then also if you like do something that you think is epic and you've spent hours on it and you're like, this is going to go viral, that also doesn't do well.
Yeah. And that is really the toughest part of the business, is then sticking with it. I don't know what's going on with TikTok right now, but it's just.
Is it dead over there?
It's dead over there. I actually feel like I get more engagement on Instagram right now, and even Facebook Reels. Facebook Reels are fabulous too. And so TikTok's now where it's like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I'm doing all different sorts of things and nothing is catching, and it's frustrating. But we all know you just have to keep going. You just keep going and hope something sticks.
For that entrepreneur who's listening that is in that spot where they're putting out content, they're spending all this time, they're not getting the views, people aren't signing up for their things. Can you speak to that person? Because you guys I'd be lying to say that I don't experience it. I mean, it does get frustrating, especially when you're putting your heart into something and your stuff is good. And then it's like a day or two is fine. But when like that shit keeps going, and then you see other people's content and you kind of low key judge it. You're like, this shit's stupid. And then it's like getting tons and tons and tons of activity.
And
it's
you're like really? Yeah. No, it can be very frustrating. So if you're in that spot right now where you keep putting stuff out there and nothing is catching, you're not getting the engagement that you think you should be getting. Yeah, you just have to keep going. You just have to keep going and find something that, when I found doing the podcast and how much joy I got out of it, and also figuring out that one podcast turns into 20 different forms of content, that made it, and I get really good feedback on it, that made content creation just that much more easier for me because I enjoy doing podcasts. So that helped a lot for me. So if you haven't tried out that, you figure out what you love best. And then, it's tough. It's tough.
Can you explain to the people what you mean by you do a podcast and one podcast turns to 20 pieces of content? Because I know people are like, oh, that sounds good to me.
Yeah. So one podcast will turn into multiple reels, TikToks, Facebook videos, and just by pulling out clips that you really like. It will be a blog post. It will be, it could be, it's a YouTube video for me. I'm putting it on I'm putting those short clips that we're making on LinkedIn, on YouTube Shorts, on Pinterest. And really, I know that if I'm producing 20 pieces of content from one 45-minute podcast episode, that really could be 400 pieces of content. It's just a matter of I don't have the manpower to do it. But I know that's potential. And I know I can recreate. I could go back to episode 2 and recreate content again from that just by switching it up. So the possibilities are endless. It's just about finding the time to keep recreating it.
Who do you have helping you execute all of this on all these different platforms? Because that gets very overwhelming to people.
Yes, it does. Over a year ago, it was last January of 2022, I said, I need an assistant. It's time. I've actually had my nephew helping me between 5 and 10 hours a week for a long time. I'd say for 3 years plus. But last January was when I really realized I need an assistant. I can't do it all. I can't do it. So I hired an assistant who was able to take a lot of stuff off my back. And then I was able to tell my nephew to do more specific things with social media and spreading that podcast content out there. But I definitely have help, and I hire video editors to do those IG clips too. So I don't I know I can learn. I can learn it all. But the fact is that there's realistically only so much time in the day that do I want to spend an hour editing videos, even when I do learn to do it? I don't think I do.
And that goes back to, right, the core value of yours is time, and managing your time. That's a big value of yours, valuing your time, and you get your time back by paying other people. And you could do all this yourself, but what's the cost factor of that?
Exactly. Right now I'm spread to my limits, and I'm just, at the end of the day, I'm the face of the company. I'm the person that has to produce the content, most of the content, and that takes up the majority of my time and planning out the future of what we want to do next.
Your job is content and what offers, what's your next retreat, or now you're doing a membership, and really crafting how that looks, and to make sure there's an incredible user experience and results, and people feel really good. And then we've got to let other people do the rest. What would you say is a good, I guess, barometer of knowing, as someone who started as like a solopreneur, so to speak, where you're like, no, it's time for me to hire somebody?
When I saw my to-do list or the things that needed to get done to be way too big, there was no possible way I could do it all. And I also realized that if half of this stuff was taken off my plate, then I'll have all this extra time to grow the business, to do the things that will actually grow the business. And I recognize the fact that having that assistant, having my nephew help me, both of them, just allows me to do the things that no one else can do. I'm the only one that can make the content and be in front of the camera and make the podcasts and whatnot. So, and my assistant, Ashley, she says I'm in dreamer mode. Like when I start creating and making more products, and I had to realize I couldn't do it all, you know?
Yeah.
It's not the business to grow.
Yeah. If you want it to grow, you end up becoming your own glass ceiling if you're trying to control everything and do it all yourself.
Yeah.
A lot of people who want to make money doing something they love, they get in their head because it could be a craft, it could be a sport, it could be their love of numbers, or teaching people graphics, or helping do life coaching with people. But they go in their head and they're like, but there's someone better than me. There's someone with more testimonials. There's someone with more press features. There's someone who's more experienced than me.
Or prettier or skinnier.
Yeah, exactly.
Better on video.
There's more well-spoken. Yeah. And given that yours happens to be like in a sport, I mean, you're not on the PGA Tour, right? So help us understand the thought process and how you navigated that. Because I know you had some of that coming up, because I remember you'd say things to me like, are people really going to like buy this? Like, I'm not a pro, right? So, and normally like in sports world, right, you think, oh, if I'm going to hire someone to learn from, I hire the tennis pro. Like, it's just like what we've been conditioned.
Exactly.
So what's the reality of it?
So I'm not a swing instructor. I am not a professional golfer by any means. I see myself as a host. I see myself as someone putting together packages and hosting these programs and hosting these events. So I have this great idea and I want to incorporate teaching into it. So sometimes I do bring on PGA or golf instructors to help me do that, but I'm there hosting it. I know the questions to ask. I know what the women, because I'm out there with the women on a weekly, daily basis, I know what they're struggling with. So I'm able to package offers and make content based on what they want. And I just knew that I could do that in a very special way, in the way that they wanted. And yes, I don't have all the credentials of a swing instructor, but honestly, I don't want to be a swing instructor. I never had the desire to be a swing instructor, but I want to be someone that brings together a community and shows women the journey of what golf can bring to their life and what their next steps are. And with the membership site, for example, I've always wanted a coach. I've always wanted someone that's, helping me with my swing, but also pushing me to go sign up for that tournament and telling me, okay, this is better course management, and being invested in my game and where I'm at and helping me get to that next level. And so that kind of inspired the membership site. Now, do I have a swing instructor that I'm partnering with? Absolutely. And he is there to help with the more specific swing technique, but I'm there too, coaching them along on their journey because I have been on the journey. I have taken all the lessons. I have done all the things, all the steps to where I am today. And I'm not a perfectionist by any means. And I think that could sometimes be a detriment to me because I'll just put something out there. Like I'll work on a project and it's like, okay, I think I'm finished. It's good. And sometimes maybe it's not completely as good as it can be. But I think that's helped me in the past too, because I will start a project and finish it and get it out there. And I don't feel like I stew over the smallest details or how perfect it looks or how I look on video, I could look better or this could be edited more. I think that has really helped me make progress in my business, is not being a perfectionist.
I would agree in being your coach, because that perfectionism is really a form of like fear in disguise. Mm-hmm. And it's very vulnerable putting something out there, something new. Is anyone going to buy it? What if no one buys it? It's like you've poured your heart into it. And then it's like that. It's really uncomfortable. I don't care how long you've been doing it. It's like the thing that's going to cause more meltdowns than anything else.
Yeah.
But I love that you can put it out there, even though it's not perfect, because even if you felt it was perfect, guess what? It's still not, because you can refine it and massage it once it's out. I've had sales pages, emails, things got where there's typos. It's like, do I try to not have that be the case? Sure. But like, is someone not going to sign up for your retreat or your membership because like you have a typo or like, it wasn't like the most like pristine graphic? These ladies don't care.
And in regards to video, I'd say that my least perfect videos are the ones that do the best, the produced ones sometimes do good, but I'd say more times than not, the highly produced videos are not what's bringing the engagement as much as.
Yeah, because people want to see like the raw and real and really get a feeling like they're there with you. And when we show up as like the real human version of ourselves, like not always looking perfect. And, like I love my favorite thing you do is like the snacks that you eat. Cause I'm like, I don't know. I like discussing snacks. Like it's just like it's a really fun thing for me. And you eating snacks, like it makes me feel like I'm there with you versus you being like very performative. Then you lose that. And that's why I feel you've had a lot of success, is because you're willing to be you. And therefore that intimacy factor and likability factor is very high. So people go, oh my God, I want to learn from this person, or I want to be in a group curated by this person because she seems like she's fun.
Yeah. Instagram stories, like none of this happens without being consistent on Instagram stories and showing what's going on in the background and showing my journey. That is what women are most inspired by. That's the feedback I get the most is, thank you for sharing this. Thank you for telling us, all the ups and downs of trying to become a better golfer. Because again, I am trying to help women become a better golfer. That is my mission. But at the same time, I'm trying to become a better golfer. So I'm still sharing my journey. And most of that journey happens on Instagram stories.
It's amazing how we can convince ourselves, and I'm saying a collective we, like, well, I can't be teaching someone about business or money or mindset or weight loss because like I'm not where I want to be yet.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be. That makes you relatable. I bet there's people who come to your retreats or come and work with you who are better golfers than you.
Oh yeah. 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 And they come for different, like, again, I want my tournaments and retreats to be over the top and just an amazing amount of fun, even off the golf course. So they come for that. They're highly competitive golfers that are some of the best golfers in the country, but they came to the Desert Classic this past March because they just wanted to come play golf and have a good time.
It gets to be that simple, you guys. And the complicated part is the stuff about being vulnerable and getting content fatigue and are people going to buy and all the moving parts. Like that's the stuff that's hard. And that's why you have me.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
That's why you have that support. And now you're paying it forward in this golf membership community. And I want to hear what made you add this, because you're having such great success with your tournaments and retreats. You didn't have to add a membership. So
No.
what has made you add the membership? Why do you feel that it's so important?
I think there was another element that I wanted to add that was, again, coaching. So seeing people on a regular basis, because we're going to be, having weekly Zoom calls and homework and accountability in regards to, okay, did you do your homework? Did you do the drills that we laid out for you? So I think there's, again, a lot of women out there just like me who want to plan and want someone watching over them, want a community to come back to. Again, we're breaking this up into two different communities. So women that want to break 100, which for those of you who aren't golfers, that means you score less than 100. Okay, so for women that want to break 100 and then women that want to break 90, they want to shoot a score better than 90. So they're going to be in this community with all these other women that have the same goal, most likely have very similar struggles, but can share it with each other while having weekly instruction and weekly tasks and drills and homework to do to help them make their goal. And once they make their goal and break 100, they're going to move on to the breaking 90 group. And then eventually there'll be a breaking 80 group. But, again, I like to see progress. I like to have goals and work on them and make my goal and then move on to the next goal. So, and I know I'm not the only one out there that is like that.
I love that. I mean, that's why I've had my Posse business coaching membership for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Is I love first of all, I need accountability or I would literally do nothing. Like
me too.
I know this about you. Really, I would like work out and like shop and snacks.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not even work out. There's very little I would do. So I have to have that support. And the byproduct of it, when you have it priced right, so that people don't want to waste that money and they show up. Plus it feels fun and you don't want to let down like the person who's hosting it, like yourself or myself. God, doesn't it feel good at the end of a week when you're like, like I did my, checklist or I did my 3 things, like I did it.
Yeah. And there's lots of different ways to see progress on the golf course. And it's celebrating those ways in the community and on the live Zooms and celebrating each other as we're moving and progressing our game. So I just felt there was a need for that. And it was time. Like all the pieces started aligning and Justin was on board and it was like, all right, let's do this. I'm ready.
Justin's the pro, right?
Yes. Justin Klimbala. So you met him before and he's fantastic. He is such a gentle soul, but also he's the best teacher I know. So he knows how to teach. He loves teaching, which this is it too. I don't love teaching. I more love coaching. And I do see that there's a difference between that. And so I have him as our teacher, as our expert, as someone you can trust and who's hilarious. And I'm there to coach you along and again, share my journey along the way at the same time.
So you guys, you can design it any which way. It doesn't have to look one certain way. You can bring in other people. You can have it be lives every week or once a month. I mean, you get to design it on your own. This is a business. You don't have to create it because you saw 5 other people in your industry creating it in a certain way. Like, do something different. Your ideal client, my ideal client, I think truly women in general, something that, and I feel we're getting better at it as a whole. We have a hard time like investing in ourselves, prioritizing our pleasure, putting ourselves first, like things that seem like extra, like getting a massage or getting a coach or, doing a membership or whatever. It's like even playing tennis can something like that. It can feel like I should be with the kids. I could be making money over here. The house needs to be reorganized. I should be gourmet cooking for my husband from scratch instead.
Exactly.
What
Ironing
do you have
the sheets.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. We can all start ironing our sheets. Don't we have time?
What do you have to say to women who have a difficult time with that? Because there is a lot of guilt, and I'm not a mom of human children, and you are, and that's a real thing, that mom guilt. Like, what do you have to say to them about it?
So that was one of my blocks, and I remember talking to you about that because I am selling something that is entertainment. I'm selling something that is extra, and it is an investment. Being a golfer, it costs money, and going on these trips and doing the tournaments and buying these practice programs, it's an investment. It costs money. And there was a block that I had, like, what is this really bringing to someone? And should I feel guilty about doing it and all that? And what I came to realize is I really had to dig deep on what golf has brought to my life and the community that it has brought to my life, the friendships as an adult. Like, where do we find friends as an adult? Can someone let me know? And it was
not at Target.
Exactly. It was, this sport has allowed me to build friendships that are just so amazing, and also be able to compete as an adult. This is something that I love to do. I grew up as an athlete. I competed in tennis, softball. I skied for a little bit. It's like, that's something that brings me joy. So why would I feel bad about helping other women bring joy to their life and showing them that golf, there's so much to it. Exercise, getting outside. And I mean, making friends in this community, but also it's something you can do with your significant other. It's something you can do with your kids. It's just brought so much to my life. So I've gotten over that block of feeling guilty about it because I know how much it's brought to me, and I know how much it's brought to hundreds and hundreds of women. You're
investing in your joy.
Yes.
You can say your health, you can say your spiritual health, your mental health, your joy, and everything is affected in your life based on where that joy meter is at.
Yeah.
Because I've had many years where I had almost none.
Yeah.
And now I have a lot. And and everything's impacted. Your bank account, relationships, health. Mm-hmm. In fact, I think it should be your number one investment, in my opinion.
Exactly. And again, these retreats, they are high ticket offers. Absolutely. But do you know how much fun and like travel, like when we went to Scotland, for instance, that was our last big overseas trip, these beautiful golf courses that we got to play, traveling to Scotland, experiencing all of that. I mean, that's priceless. I mean, it's
right. That's something you remember at 85 years old.
Yeah.
Where you're watching the Golf Channel or whatever, or you're talking to someone saying, I got to play here. And
exactly.
Remember that. And what's that worth to you?
Yeah. So I went through that. We went through that block and that guilt. And
We did.
Over. That's over.
You're like, we've moved on. We've moved on to other ones.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Why do you feel that it is so imperative that if there is an idea on someone's heart, or if they've already started their business, but it's stagnant or they want to grow it to another level, why do you feel it is so imperative that they get the help and direct guidance in doing that?
We go back to the saving time and energy. To me, I'm a planner. So when you hire a coach, whether it's Tiffany or someone else, they know it. They know, they've been through it. They have the proven success outline. Let them tell you what to do. But you have to do it. And it's worth the investment. It's worth the time. It's worth saving that time. And as long as you know you will follow through, it's kind of like getting a golf lesson. If you're going to get a golf lesson, you better start practicing after. You better start implementing it after, or it is a waste of time or money. So if you're going to make the commitment to follow through with this business idea that you love, that you're passionate about, hire the coach, go through what they tell you to do. And you got to follow through, be consistent and follow through.
What does it feel like to be making damn good money at something that you're really passionate about?
It's something that I'm proud of. I'm very proud of the way it's grown. And I still have a lot of fun growing it. I'd say I almost have more fun growing the business at this point than being out on the golf course, but they go hand in hand. It's the feedback I get from the women is really incredible, really is. And seeing their journeys excel because of it. It's amazing.
What is it like as a mom with your kids watching what you're building and focusing on?
I think it's good. I have teenagers now, so
which they think everything you do is annoying.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough with teenagers. So I feel like they see what mom and dad are up to and growing their own businesses, and they see how consistent we are and how we show up every day, and that it's implanting in their brain like what it takes. But they're in teenager mode right now, especially my daughter. So it's it's all about them right now. So.
Well, that's really, that's how there's science behind it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why they're the most selfish creatures on the planet. That's just how it is. But don't you remember when you were a teenager? All I cared about was how I was going to get some cash out of my mom.
Exactly.
Like buttering her up. Like, what did I have to do to get it?
Well, in those days, all we needed was $20. Now, where does that going? That's going nowhere.
Hey, getting a 20 was like a solid move. Like a crisp 20.
A whole weekend.
Now it's like, now when your kids want money, like, what are you handing? Or is it like a hundy? Like, what do you?
It's scary. It's, it's definitely more than 20.
Well, this was so great having you on and being able to have the listeners hear what it looks like from scratch now to 4 years out, like truly this is what's available for you.
Mm-hmm.
It really is here, and being realistic and straight up about also the part you have to play in it too.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And, I was telling Tiffany this beforehand. Tiffany has now become my home base. So we started out one-on-one coaching, and I've gone to her mastermind, and it's just like I kind of go off and I do what she tells me to do. And then I come back months. It's really been almost a year later since our last mastermind. And that's okay, because I know that this place is available to me when I need it. And we've built trust in each other, and she's seen how she knows what I'm up to. So I don't need to start the relationship over every time. I can just come back in and say, okay, we need a session. So I can't tell you how much this doesn't happen without our coaching sessions that started 4 years ago. It just doesn't. Or if it does, I'm probably 2 years behind at least than where I am today. So I'm grateful that I have this community to come back to anytime I need help and guidance. It's amazing.
And now you're doing that for your people, which is so incredible to watch. So tell the people where they can check you out. And even if you're like a tennis player like me,
exactly,
or you've not played golf, or
because I have a program for beginners. Like you've never golfed before, I have a program for that. So I touch all levels of the game. You can find all my information, all my programs, retreats, tournaments at toritotlis.com. And then my podcast is Tea Time with Tori Totlis. The best thing to do would be to check out the show notes, obviously, in Tiffany's podcast, but just search my name and everything will come up, Tori Totlis.
I have to tell you, just for the snacks.
Yeah, exactly.
The clothing.
Yeah.
And like, then she has like regular characters on the course that are important to me. Although I could use more of your mom, like mom content. That's just so relatable.
And they're always asking if mom's going to be at the events. And I'm like, she's yet to come to an event.
But if she's there, believe me, everyone will know.
Yes.
Love you. Thanks for coming on, babe.
Thanks for having me on.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.